It is Monday, January 13th, 2025. Thank you so much for joining me today. Really do appreciate it. We got a few things to talk about here. One thing I want to start with today is this news briefing this morning. Japan lifts tsunami advisory after 6.6 magnitude quake strikes the southern region. Again, that happened this morning. Another interesting one from CBS News. Down in Mexico, 6.2 magnitude earthquake hit south of Colima, right on the coast. And then, of course, you get into what has just transpired here in Los Angeles. And we still have fires burning as I make this video, and they're very, very worried about wind gusts coming in this evening into tomorrow at 70 plus miles per hour, reigniting this whole disaster. So it is very interesting to look at what's happening in Mexico, Japan as far as earthquakes, what's happening as far as the fires here, the flood in North Carolina. The next disaster we're probably going to have out here will be flooding. So now that everything's burned out, all the brush is gone, we're going to have massive mudslides when the rains hit Southern California. That'll be the next one. But isn't it, think about this, the earthquakes, the floods, the fires, is God trying to warn us? Is God trying to wake us up? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Love to know your thoughts on this. Is there something more to all of this? Is there some type of meaning? Is this a wake-up call from God? I don't know, but I'd love to know your thoughts on this. Retailers post early holiday results and Wall Street isn't impressed. Interesting day. Markets were off to a bad start this morning. Dow finished up 350. NASDAQ was down only 73. It was down much more earlier. 10-year bond yield. This is a problem. I believe it hit 4.8 early this morning. As I make this video, it's at 4.79%. Oil up 221, sitting at right around $79 a barrel. Gold got beat up a little bit today, down 27, but still sitting at $2,662. Bitcoin was under 90,000 this morning at one point. For the gamblers out there, back up the trucks. If you want to gamble, if you got some money that you can afford to lose, maybe this is a good time to back up the truck. I think right now it's sitting right above $94,000. But getting back to this article on CNBC regarding the retailers posting early holiday results, they did better for the most part than expected, but it was no blowout season. Not as good as many of the prior holiday seasons. Many of the big name retailers, their shares dropped today because the market was unimpressed with the numbers. And it's amazing that we even saw the numbers where they were. I honestly thought that this would be one of the worst holiday shopping seasons of all time. And maybe it was. Who knows? Can you even believe the data today? When you look at how broke people are, half the country doesn't have $500 saved up, but they do have credit cards. So as long as people have access to credit cards, apparently they're out there for holiday season shopping. Another one from CNBC. Biden's total student debt relief passes $183 billion after he forgives another 150,000 borrowers. Love to know your thoughts on this. With less than a week to go, Joe announced his administration would forgive student debt for more than 150,000 borrowers. What do you think about this? $183 billion. Think about this number. I was just thinking about this number earlier today. Just on the student debt relief, $183 billion. They're forecasting the fires out here in Los Angeles to be around $150 billion of damage. Could be $200 billion, but right now they're thinking it's going to be about $150 billion. Uncle Joe forgave more student debt borrowers or student debt relief than the entire fires of Los Angeles County that they're estimating to be $150 billion. This is $183 in student debt relief, $183 billion. Where is all this money coming from? Who is paying for this? How is this not going to be inflationary? And if you think you're not going to be paying for what's happening out here in California in these fires, you're sadly mistaken. The American people are going to be paying for this. The government's going to come in, and guess where the government's going to get their money from? They're going to get it from you. So be ready for that. But those people in North Carolina, they're still living in tents, warming themselves with propane tanks and not knowing where their next meal is going to come from. It's really, really sickening what's going on. LA residents sue Edison Utility over potential role in Palisades fire. Like, they already know, right? Like, they already know the culprit here. It's everyone's fault except the politicians and the leadership in charge. 70+ mile per hour winds could be hitting again tonight and tomorrow, all the way to Wednesday. We'll see what happens. A lot of people, I truly do believe, are going to get wiped out because of this disaster. And there's going to be a lot of wealthy people that get wiped out. You know, a lot of people just believe because you live in a, $3 million house, $2 million house, a $5 million house, that you're going to be just fine. And many of those people probably will be. Mel Gibson, he's worth $500 million. He didn't even seem to even care that his home burnt down because he probably has 4 other homes and he has deep pockets. But the less fortunate wealthy people that might be worth $2, $3, $4, $5, $6, $7, $8 million, well, guess where their wealth is tied up? It's tied up in these homes. Most of their wealth is in these homes. And a lot of these people, I don't think, realize that if they did have insurance, that their insurance company is not going to pay 100% of this. They may pay 50, 60, 70% of this. So say you have a $5 million house and your insurance company says, hey, read the fine print. We only cover up to 50% of fire damage. So, if you have a multi-million dollar home, you're going to have to make up the difference of this with multi-millions of dollars. $5 million home, you're going to need another $2.5 million. They're only going to give you half. $3 million home, they're going to give you $1.5 million. You're going to have to make up the other half. So a lot of these people also, they have investment properties, they have Airbnbs, and so some of these homes had no insurance whatsoever because a lot of the insurance companies bounced. These people were uninsurable. It was too expensive, whatever the case may be. And if they do get a check, will they rebuild in these areas or go somewhere else? And if they do rebuild, who's going to insure these new homes that will be rebuilt at some point down the road, which is going to take years because of bureaucracy, red tape, lawsuits, permits, all of that stuff. The lawsuits are going to take years. The finger pointing, it's already beginning. Nobody's taking responsibility. Your politicians, your leaders, they're gone. They're going to blame everybody else except themselves. It's really unfortunate because it's going to be the people that suffer here. I think insurance companies are going to get absolutely destroyed. Again, I think this is going to get thrown onto the taxpayer of the United States. There was a home, I was watching this on Fox Business today, it's very interesting. There was a home in Malibu, right off of PCH, one of the few that survived. And it survived because it was made out of concrete and steel. And the owner of the home used to be the CEO of Waste Management. And he said his insurance only covers 50% of fire damage. Luckily, he's not going to need it. But his neighbors, if they're lucky, might get 50%. He said many have no insurance. And these are multi-million dollar homes. So some of these wealthy people who have their wealth tied up in these homes, these properties, they're going to be wiped out. They are going to be wiped out. The wealthy in Los Angeles are going to get destroyed, many of them. So this is going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. But, just think about James Wood said, yesterday I'm swimming in my pool, tomorrow it's all gone. These people that had multi-million dollars in real estate, it's all gone. Some of it uninsurable, some of it partially insured. It's going to be devastating for a lot of these people. They're not going to bounce back because a lot of these people are older too. They're not going to bounce back. Really, really sad state of affairs. $5 million house could cost $10 million to replace. That's another problem that we're having out here and across the country with what's happened with the real estate bubble is you bought a house, say, let's just say, for example, 5 years ago, you bought a house in Malibu for $5 million. Fast forward to today, yesterday, $10 million. So now the insurance company is going to replace a $5 million home with a $10 million home. Good luck. Good luck with that. The hedge today. Californians' insurance crisis just got a whole lot worse. I was looking at some of the price of homes in this area. Pacific Palisades, which is still on fire. Average median home. The average median home there costs $4.7 million. Comes out to $1,400 a square foot on average. Malibu, average home there, $3.5 million. Altadena, that we hear is kind of like the blue collar area, $1.4 million. Those are like just little boxes, 3-bedroom, 2 baths, $1.4 million. This is how ridiculous things have gotten. And because of this massive real estate bubble, it is going to bury insurance companies. It's going to bury cities now, because now when all these homes are gone, where is the tax revenue going to come from? Then you have the whole bond issue with these cities. But the tax revenue, the businesses, the restaurants, all of this stuff is going to change the entire landscape of Los Angeles and probably the state of California. Here's another one today talking about, if this was purposely done. If it was purposely done, it didn't cost much to have somebody on a bicycle with a blowtorch running around starting fires. Matches don't cost a lot of money. If there's something more nefarious here, if this was purposely done, who knows? Could have been, from another country. Could have been a group in this country. I'm speculating here, not saying that that's what happened. Nobody knows what happened. But what we do know is there were people that have been arrested intentionally starting fires. And you have to ask yourself, why were they doing this? Were they put up to this by somebody? And think about, if we were going to be attacked by another country, how cheap it is to just light matches and start lighting the 6th largest economy in the world, California, lighting it on fire. Think about how easy it is, how cheap it is to do. So you have to really think a little bit outside of the box and think, is there something a little bit more deviant, more nefarious going on than the wind, than climate change? Another question I have for all of you, it looks like literally Hiroshima in some of these areas, right? These areas have just been flattened out and melted. Where is all of the debris going to go? I don't think people understand how big these areas are, how 13,000 structures plus gone, and we still have fires raging right now. Where do they take all the debris? Where do you get all the contractors and builders to come in and repair and replace all of this stuff? This is going to take decades if it even happens at all. Toxic air in Los Angeles, people breathing this stuff. I think, honestly, people are going to have some serious health issues 5-10 years from now because they've been breathing this stuff. Even the fire retardant that comes down is very, very toxic, and people are breathing this stuff. They're out there walking around in this stuff. Stuff in the smoke, the fuels that we're burning. This is really, really toxic stuff, and I think people 5 or 10 years from now are going to pay the price for breathing this day in and day out. If this was done intentionally, ladies and gentlemen, again, it didn't cost much to do. It did literally $150 to $200 billion in damage for literally the cost of a box of matches. So let me know your thoughts on that. Was this something that was done by Mother Nature, or was it something done by man? Was it Edison's fault? Did the wind blow a power line over and that started everything? But we had 5 big fires take place at the same time. So a lot of this stuff just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. No water in the reservoirs, hydrants running out, not having enough equipment, not having enough personnel. We were just ripe for a disaster here. Bloomberg. Global bond tantrum is a wrenching and worrisome start to the new year. So people go, who cares that the 10-year bond yield is at 4.79%? What's the big deal? Well, the big deal is borrowing costs. It is going to get much more expensive to borrow money, to borrow capital. If you are a small, medium business, this is extremely crucial to you because your borrowing costs are going up. Housing market, very, very bad. I didn't look at what the 30-year fixed rate is today, but I know it's over 7% and climbing. It's bad for the auto market. You want to go buy a car today, an RV today, a boat today, you're going to be paying a lot more. And if this thing hits 5%, we're going to have really, really big trouble. You literally can almost see things freezing up. People just won't be able to buy anything because they cannot access credit. They cannot borrow money. And this is, to me, a big red flag that inflation is much worse than we're being told. It is not under control. It is not going down. I think tomorrow we get the PPI, CPI on Wednesday. Who knows what those numbers will be? I don't believe any of the data whatsoever. I know that things are a lot worse than they're telling us, and you do too. Last one, Wall Street Journal. Fake job postings are becoming a real problem. We've been talking about this for over a year. It's been a real problem. And again, this is just more of the fakeness. It says here, Wall Street Journal, 1 in 5 jobs is fake or not filled. So what is real today? We cannot believe any of this stuff. There are people, they've been, reporting this in a lot of the news articles that this guy, filled out 100 resumes. This person filled out 300 resumes. Nobody called him back. What is going on here? So, we keep getting these job numbers. We get the unemployment numbers. We get the GDP numbers. We get the housing numbers. How much of this is just all fake? And people are making life-altering decisions on fake data, and this is going to hurt a lot of people. So my advice today is do as much due diligence as you can. Do your own homework. Read as much as you can. Take 15, 20, 30 minutes a day and read about what's going on and come to your own conclusion of what to believe. I don't believe the data. I don't believe the numbers. And obviously, it's all been a big fat lie. I mean, they told us what we're missing 818,000 jobs. Remember, so they evaluated that. So they're like, oh, sorry, we were off by 818,000 jobs last year. That's more than a minor mistake, ladies and gentlemen. Things are much worse than you think. And just talking about jobs, I think we're going to get to a point here that having a good job is going to be something that people look at as a luxury. Replacing a good job now is almost impossible. People are going to be humbled. People are I would never do that for this much. I won't work there. I won't do this. If this system begins to cut people off, the system gets so desperate and people can't rely on the system for their food, for their housing. People are going to do what they have to do to feed themselves and their families. People are going to do things they never thought they would ever do in their life. When people get hungry, they will do things you never thought they would do. They'll even break the law if they get hungry enough. But people, they're going to wish that they had a good job. They're going to wish that they didn't walk away from that one job that they had that was paying their bills. And if you have a good job right now and it's paying the bills, maybe it's not your dream job, maybe it's not the job you want to be at in 5 or 10 years, don't go anywhere. Just hold tight. Let's see what happens in 2025. Stay where you're at. Just do what you got to do right now, because I'm telling you, if you have a good job, you're making $75,000, $85,000, $100,000 a year, you tell me how easy it is to replace that job. Even $50,000. We're going to see more mass layoffs. This economy is in big trouble, and I know a lot of people just cannot admit that because they go, oh, look, the stock market was up today. Everything's fine. You're not seeing clearly. You don't understand. The stock market and the real economy are completely detached. The stock market was just propped up with another $7 trillion over the 2020 to 2022 during the health crisis. $7 trillion pumped in to the economy. And now we have inflation, and it's not going away. The genie has been let out, and the genie is not going back in. The bottle is empty. So do what you got to do to get through this. But I think we got a couple really rough years, and I think 2025 is already warning us that trouble is ahead. We got the inauguration coming up next week. Should be very, very interesting. But how much more damage will the present administration do before the new administration gets in? And they've got a lot of knots to untangle. There's a lot of booby traps. People who just think that this is going to get fixed in the next 6 to 12 months, please wake up, come back to earth. Please get out of your bubble. And just please prepare and get ready for some very uncertain times. I'm going to leave it there today. God bless every one of you. Please pray for this administration coming in. Pray for this country. Be careful out there. Be preparing. God bless all of you.